Hello, Algebra 1 students. We're going to look at section 6.6 in solving systems of inequalities. You should have some colored pencils handy or just a pen and a pencil to help you graph these graphs today. So we're on page 376 in your textbook. And we're going to start with the first example there. So the first inequality is y is greater than negative 2x plus 1. And the second one is y is less than or equal to x plus 3. So I'm going to use blue to graph the first inequality here. So we're going to go up 1 on the y-axis, down 2 over 1, and graph some points here. It's going to be a dotted line because it's there's no line underneath of it because it's greater than or equal to. And so since it's greater than, we're going to shade above the line. And I want my shading to fill up most of the graph because we're looking to see where the shading intersects today. So make sure you have the shading going all across your graph paper here. So we're going to move to the next one. Y is less than or equal to x plus 3. I'm going to graph that one in red. So we're up at 3, up 1 over 1 for the slope. And this one is equal to, so it's going to be a solid line. And I'm going to shade below the graph. So that means the final answer, which I'm going to graph in black here, would be this shaded region. So to check yourself, you can always pick a point in the region and see if it works. So one of the points in the region that would be really easy would be 2, 2. So if I plug in 2 for y, that should be greater than a negative 2 times 2 plus 1. So 2 is greater than a negative 4 plus 1. 2 is greater than a negative 3, which is true. So that part is true, and then we always have to check the other one. So let's go ahead and check the second inequality there and see if that's true. So it's going to be 2 is less than or equal to 2 plus 3. 2 is less than or equal to 5, and that's true. So it works, and so we have a point, we have the correct region. So if it didn't work, we would have to check our drawing and re-graph it and things like that. So, okay, let's try another one here. So I'm at the top of page 377, and we're going to look at 3x minus y is greater than or equal to 2. And then the other equation is 3x minus y is less than a negative 5. And I'm just going to separate them. Because I know I have to get y by itself. So y is negative here, so I'm going to move it over to the right side to make it positives, and then I'm going to move the 2 over. So 3x minus 2 is greater than or equal to y. So a lot of you like to rewrite this and don't like reading backwards. So we're just going to rewrite it how we would read it. Y is less than or equal to 3x minus 2. So that's the first inequality that I'm going to graph. We're going to do the same thing here with this one. We're going to move the y over and then move the 5 over. So we get 3x plus 5 is less than or equal to y. And then we just rewrite it. Y is greater than or equal to 3x plus 5. Okay, so we're going to go up to 5 here. We'll graph this last one. And then up 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. It's going to be a solid line because of the equal to sign underneath there. And it looks like this. And I'm just going to extend my line through the graph so I get a better picture of what's happening. It says greater, so I'm going to shade above the line. All right, let's move on to the other one. We're going to go down to -2 and then up 3 over 1, and then we'll do it again and over 1. And this one is solid as well, and it's going to be below the line. Well, in order for this to work, we have to have the two shaded regions intersecting. But here they're not intersecting, so when you write your answer, you can write no solution. Or you could write down the null sign as well, meaning no solution. So sometimes you're going to get a region that they don't intersect, and sometimes you will. So we'll do one more, and then I'm going to put up some graphs, and you need to write the equation for the shaded region. So let's say we have this equation. X plus y is greater than 2. And then I'm going to leave a little space. The next one is -4x plus 2y is less than 8. Okay, I'm going to solve for y. Y is greater than 2 minus x. I'm just going to circle it so I can find it. And so this one would be 2y is less than 8 plus 4x. And I'm going to divide everything by 2. So y is less than 4 plus a half x. So I'm going to go ahead and graph those. So the first one I'm going to graph in blue. So I'm going to go up to 2, down 1, to the right 1, down 1, to the right 1. Let's get a better graph here. So down 1 to the right, down 1 to the right. And it's going to be a dotted line. And it looks like this. And I'm going to shade above. The next one I'm going to graph in red. So I'm going to go up to 4. And then up 1 over 2. And you can see that the line is actually going through the first shaded region here. It's going to be dotted because of the less than sign here. So I'm going to dot that. And it's less than, so it's below, so I can see that the region is going to be right there. And I'm going to shade it in black. Okay, and that's the answer to that one. So now we're going to move to where I put up a picture of a system of inequalities, and you have to write the two equations that you started with. So we're going to go backwards in the process. Okay, so the first picture that I'm looking at here is going to be like this. There's your first line. And then the next one, I'm going to go down here. And I'm going to graph that one. And the line is dotted. And the shaded region is going to be right here in red. So I want to write the system that I would use. That's the graph of this. So we're going to start with one line at a time. So I'm going to label this line 1, and this is line 2. And we're going to find the equation of both of those lines here. Okay, so remember y equals mx plus b. The slope is m here. You got to find your intercept. So looking at line 1, my intercept is a -3. So y equals, so this is number 1. And I can leave a space. I'm going to put -3 here. And then if you look at it, it goes down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1. So that means your slope is a -x. Okay, but we're not going to put an equal to sign here because we have to look at where the shading is. Well, the shading is above the line, so we're going to put greater. And then we have to see, okay, do we put a line underneath of it here? Well, it's dotted, so we don't need the line. And so this will be your first system, your first inequality of the system. So let's go to number 2 right here and find that equation. So number 2. So our intercept here is 2. So I'm going to leave a space after y. I'm going to put +2 over here. Now I'm going to find the slope of the line. So it looks like it goes up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So the slope is going to be 2x. And then I have to look, okay, is it equal to or not equal to? It's dotted, so it's not equal to. And then I shade it above the line. So it's going to be greater than, and that will be the picture, the 2 inequalities that give you this system. So we'll go ahead and we'll do one more. So the next one I want to have you write a system for is this one here. Okay, that's the first line. And the next one is here. And it's going to be dotted. And the shaded region in red is right in between. So this is an example of where you would have a system. You know the lines are parallel, so you automatically assume, oh, it's going to be no solution. But with a system of inequalities, you can actually sometimes have a solution that's between the two lines. It just depends on what you're given and what the graph looks like. So be sure you're looking at that and don't automatically assume that because you have parallel lines, you don't have a solution. So just make sure you're looking at the area where it is shaded. Okay, so let's move over and we're going to label these line 1 and line 2. And we're going to find the equation, the inequalities that go with the system. So number 1, y, and we're going to leave a few spaces here. So the intercept for that one is at -3, so I have -3. And then it looks like I'm going up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, so it's 2x. And then I have to look, okay, it's solid, so I'm going to have a line underneath, and I shade it above the line, so it's greater than or equal to. Y is greater than or equal to 2x minus 3. So let's move on to number 2. Okay, so number 2 is right here, the dotted one. So that has a y-intercept up at 4. So we're going to have y, and then we're going to have 4 over here. And it's a positive 4. And it looks like it's also going to have a slope of 2. So it's going to be 2x. And then we need to put the inequality here. Well, it's going to be underneath. So it's less than. And there's no line or anything underneath of it because it's dotted. So this concludes the first part of section 3.6 The next lesson will be about the application problems in this section. I will see you later.